Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Friday SEO Tip. I'm Barb Senkala, Senior SEO Strategist at Boulder SEO Marketing. If you're struggling to generate leads and sales from your organic search efforts, this tip is for you. We share information that you can implement immediately so you can get more leads and sales from your organic search optimization efforts. In this week's Friday SEO Tip, I want to walk you through something most local SEO advice is missing right now. Google's local search algorithm has been going through a quiet but fundamental shift. For years, the operating principle was that Google trusted the data you submitted to your Google business profile and used external signals to decide how much weight to give it. That model is over. Google has moved from trust to verification. And today I'm going to show you the three specific technical signals Google is now using to validate whether your Google business profile data is actually real. So let me frame what changed. Earlier this year, Google announced that it is now using Gemini to cross-reference suggested edits to business profiles against official web sources. Let me translate what that actually means in practice. So when somebody suggests an edit to your Google business hours, your business name, or your category, Gemini does not just check internal Google signals. It pulls data from your website, from structured directories, from your schema markup, and from other authoritative sources to decide whether the edit is legitimate. That sounds like a small policy update. It is not. It is a re-architecture of how Google decides what is true about your business. And it means the technical consistency of your online presence is now directly tied to your ability to control what appears on your listing and how often you should show up in AI-generated local results. So I'm going to give you three specific signals Google is now weighing, and then I'm going to tell you exactly how to audit each one this week. So signal number one is schema markup consistency. Let me share my screen and show you a few tools. First tool I want to show you is this rich results test tool. So if you could put in a URL. I'll start with Boulder SEO Marketing. Put in the URL, test the URL, and that will populate what schema is currently getting rich results on the page. Schema markup is the structured data you add to your website that tells Google and other search engines what your pages are about. So for local businesses, the most important schema type is local business. It lets you declare your business name, address, phone number, hours, category, service area, and more in a format search engines can read directly. Here's what's changed. So before this year, schema markup was a ranking enhancement, a nice to have, something that helped you qualify for rich results. That is no longer the whole story. Schema is now one of the sources Gemini uses to verify whether the data on your Google business profile is accurate. So if your GBP says you open at 7 a.m., but your local business schema on your website says you open at 8 a.m., that discrepancy is a red flag to Google's verification system. If your GBB category is HVAC contractor, but your schema declares plumber, that inconsistency signals to Google that your data cannot be trusted. So at Boulder SEO Marketing, we have been doing schema implementations across client sites for the past 6 months. And the pattern we're seeing in 2026 is that GBP verification response times are materially faster, and AI search visibility is materially stronger. So for clients with clean, complete Google business schema on their websites, the data is self-reinforcing. So your schema validates your GBP validates your website. So Google trusts both because they agree with each other. So my action for you this month is to take your homepage, what I just typed in Boulder SEO Marketing, and run it through this Google Rich Results Test tool, which you can find at search.google.com/test/rich results. And I'll have the link in the SEO tip for you as well. Then, if your local business schema is missing, incomplete, or inconsistent with your GBP, that's your number one cleanup task this week. So you can see that we are getting flagged that we have local business even showing up. You may type in your homepage and not even see this on there, and that's a red flag that, all right, you need to go ahead and add that. And then review the data and cross-reference this against your GBP profile and make sure everything is accurate. Is the address in sync? Is the phone number in sync? Do we have the right links to the logos, hours, etc.? Just double checking, cross-checking everything on that front. So signal number 2 that I want to talk about is NAP consistency across structured sources. So NAP stands for name, address, and phone number. So for years, the standard advice has been keep your NAP consistent across directories. That is true, but it is incomplete. The new standard is structured NAP consistency. That means your NAP has to match not just across directory listings, but across every structured data source that Google can read. That includes your website schema markup, your Google business profile, your Bing Places listing, your Apple Maps listing, your Yelp profile, your business Facebook business page, industry-specific directories, any place your business is listed with machine-readable data. So before this year, the minor inconsistencies were tolerable. Sweet 100 on one listing and spelled STE 100 on another was not a big deal. In 2026, those small inconsistencies start to compound because Gemini is reading all of them at once. And then when Gemini sees 10 structured sources and 7 of them agree on one version of your address and 3 of them disagree, that disagreement introduces uncertainty. So in Google's verification model, uncertainty is a negative signal. Your action for you this week for this signal would be to run a citation audit. We use SEO ranking here. It's a tool we use at BSM. So we pull a list of every structured source that mentions our business. We look for inconsistencies in the same field, the address field and the phone number field. We are able to fix the ones we control directly. There are a few that we don't have control of directly, and then you have to submit corrections for those. These used to be a quarterly task, but in 2026, this needs to almost be a monthly task now. So yeah, here's the listings, and then you can go see what's listed, what's not listed. We might need to go find directories for this, what's synced, what is updating because this wasn't synced, and then which ones we have to manually go in and update. So this just kind of gives you a check of, your name, address, phone number, and URL across all these different ones, which were found, which were incorrect, which were not found, and which ones have mistakes being the ones with the inconsistencies. So we will go in here and address these if we haven't already submitted requests to get those fixed. So that is NAP in a nutshell. Signal 3 is website content alignment with GBP attributes. So this is the signal almost nobody is talking about. Your Google business profile has structured fields that describe your business, services offered, areas served, business hours, appointment availability, payment methods, accessibility features. When you fill out your GBP, you pick from a dropdown of Google-defined attributes. Here's what Google is doing now. So Gemini is checking whether your website actually mentions the services you claim in your GBP attributes. So if your GBP says you offer emergency service, but your website never mentions emergency service, well, that's a discrepancy. So if your GBP lists wheelchair accessible entrance, but your website has 0 accessibility content, that's also a discrepancy. So the practical implication is that your GBP attributes are only as strong as the website content that supports them. So claiming services you do not document is now worse than claiming fewer services that you document well. Your action for this one this week will be to pull up your Google business profile, and I'll pull up Boulder SEO's Denver location. Export every service attribute and area served that you have declared. Then open your website and do a quick search on each one. Is every service you claim mentioned somewhere on the site? You can find that under services. We have a list of all of these services, and we do mention these on our sites if we cross-reference them. Do every service you appear as actual page content, not just a footer list? If the answer is no, you have 2 options. Either remove the attribute from your GBP, or the better option, add the supporting content to your website. So if I say, we do lead generation here and we don't mention it anywhere on the website, that's either remove that from here or mention that on your website that you actually do offer that service. The same with the attributes. You can go into your profile here. Scroll down to your attributes and check and cross-reference any of these accessibilities, amenities offered. Do we have parking? Like if any of these is clicked, you might want to mention something about that on your contact us page if you're looking for driving directions. So just making sure that all of this content is in sync with what is on the website. So that is the three main signals. So how to audit yourself this week. Step one, run your homepage through the Google Rich Results test. Confirm that your local business schema is present, valid, and matches your Google business profile exactly. If schema is missing or incomplete, that's your number one priority. Step two, run a NAP consistency audit across your top 10 structured directory listings using SE ranking. Fix anything you can directly. For the ones you cannot control, submit corrections through the platform's standard process. And then step three, export your GBP attributes. Verify every single one is reflected in actual website content. Remove anything you cannot support with content, and then add content for anything you want to keep. If you work through these three steps, you will be ahead of probably 90% of the local businesses in your market. Most businesses are still operating under the old assumption that Google trusts what they tell it. That assumption is obsolete. Google verifies now. Your job is to make sure every source Gemini checks tells the same story about your business. So Greg walked through the news side of Google's April Maps updates. Today, I wanted to give you the technical side because the news is only half the story. The other half is understanding how Google is actually using that new enforcement infrastructure behind the scenes. Schema consistency, structured NAP accuracy, GBP attributes backed by real website content. Those are the three verification signals that matter most in 2026. So at Boulder SEO Marketing, schema and technical local SEO are a core part of what we do. If you want to help auditing your website or your Google business profile against these signals, please reach out to the team. And I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the Boulder SEO Marketing Friday SEO Tip newsletter. The link is in the description. Every Friday, we send one practical, actionable tip you can use right away. I'm Barb Senkala, Senior SEO Strategist at Boulder SEO Marketing. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.